If you're looking for player prop recommendations backed by AI, then you're in the right place. Welcome, everybody. We've got Thursday night football between the Broncos and the Saints. Let's take a look at our data-driven picks for this game, starting with John. What do you like for us, man?
Well, if this bet doesn't hit, I'd be more surprised than Kyrie Irving going to space and seeing the earth is round. I've got Devon Bailey over 30.5 reception yards here. And you might be going, who? Because that's also when I looked at the Elite Picks app, I was kind of like, who? This guy's only played in 2 games this season, but he has cleared this line in both of those games. And he's had over 6 targets in both of those games as well. 39 yards week 1 versus Seattle, 78 yards last week versus the Chargers. New Orleans is 26th in pass yards per completion and 29th in pass yards allowed. So give me Devon Bailey over 30.5 reception yards. I feel like he can get this 2 catches, 3 catches, he'll be there. So what do you guys think about that one?
Oh, man, I love the pick with the EP score like that. And like I said, I trust your judgment, even though it's not a Bills pick. But you know, other than that, if you say he's going to hit, man, I think he is.
I missed my last Bills pick by a hook, so maybe you should trust my non-Bills picks more. Actually, I think I have a better record with non-Bills picks, to be honest with you. We're on a little bit of a streak otherwise, besides that last Monday Night Football pick. But Tyler, you got any thoughts on this guy?
You know, I'm a fan of the wide receiver 2s and wide receiver 3s, so I believe this is a guy who's been a deep threat for them. So 1 catch could get you over on this. So love these receiving yard props that are relatively low. So definitely like it and hope it cashes.
Yeah, for sure. Good matchup against the Saints for sure. That Swiss cheese defense, as we like to call it. But
holes everywhere.
I was going to say that
holes all over.
Yeah, that 78-yard game that he had was only on 4 receptions actually. So
wow,
I definitely like his chances to get over that. But B-Dot, what you got? What's your best bet for this Thursday night matchup?
Man, lock it in, man. Spencer Rattler is set to torch the Broncos with over 26.5 pass attempts, bro. Even after just 1 game, Rattler threw 29 times. And now he's facing a Denver defense ranked in the bottom 5 in pass yards allowed per game. Come on now. The Broncos are bleeding yards in the air, and Rattler will be out there throwing dimes all night long. This line is an absolute smash. Bet it before the odds shift. This is a guaranteed winner. Hashtag Rattler on fire. Y'all feel, man?
I love it. I feel like I just watched a local car commercial in Texas for a local car dealership. Full experience. But yeah, I was going to say, have to check it, see if this line is available too, because I saw it went up on some places and then came back down. So double check that this line is available. But 99.99 EP score. That's probably why it got taken down right away. So if you see it again, bet it for sure. I love it. How many attempts did he have last time? 40 or something like that? I think he had 40 attempts in last week's. So
29 might regress going a little bit from quarter.
That. Yeah. They might regress a little bit from that, but yeah, expect a lot of passing this game for sure.
I like this as well. I actually took his under last week. I think it was at 19.5, or maybe it was 29.5. Maybe that was the
completions. Yep.
Yeah.
But either way, I took his under on attempts, and I think that was dead out of the water within the third quarter, just of how the game script went. Clearly, they're not afraid to let him throw the ball, even under the circumstances. So I think this is going to be a game where even Alvin Kamara is questionable. They don't want to necessarily run through him already after, maybe a quarter of the season. So they're going to have to lean on Rattler to throw the ball. And I think this is going to be a good night for it.
For sure. Tyler, what you got cooked up for this Thursday night matchup?
Yeah, so this is one I think we could definitely take advantage of in terms of the sports books and looking at props for this game. Give me Cortland Sutton over 45.5 receiving yards. Cortland Sutton has eclipsed 45 receiving yards in 3 of his last 4 games. Now, if you look back to last week, the Saints got torched for a 50-burger at home against the Bucs. And if you look at this year, they've allowed the 3rd most receiving yards in the league. So there's a lot to be had for this wide receiving group tonight, or a Thursday night for the Broncos. And if you look at our models projected receiving yards for Sutton in this game, you're looking at around 52 yards. So I'm loving our models projections for this based on the receiving yard prop. So give me the over on this one, man. Broncos country, let's get it.
I love it, man. I love it. I mean, Baker Mayfield threw 3 interceptions last week and still won the game and had hell of a yards. So Cortland Sutton, he's a vet. And, with that rookie quarterback, this could be a great blanket for him to lean on. And look at that EP score, 87.82, man. So I like this, Tyler. It's a good bet.
Yeah, for
what do you
sure.
think, John?
I'm actually not. I'm surprised the EP score isn't even higher with that model projection, because usually, percentage wise, that's actually quite a bit over his yards. Usually, you'll see a model project it even just a couple yards over and still recommend the prop, because those middles can be so wishy washy. Just even between a couple of yards, would it make sense to go over, go under? But I love this. He's clearly the wide receiver one there. Over 45 yards, that's a pretty low number for a wide receiver one. Even with a rookie quarterback, again, you get a couple of deep receptions on this Swiss cheese Saints defense. It's pretty easy. He could do that in one reception for sure. So I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely need some receiving yards from both of our Broncos receivers for Thursday night. So definitely need a big night out of those two guys.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, awesome. Now we're going to actually get into the game picks for this matchup. Which side are you guys leaning on here?
Well, this is a tough one. This is a typical Thursday barn burner here. But I'm going to go Saints only because of the point value. Spencer Rattler looked pretty much just all right against the Bucs. Not bad. Not as bad as I thought. And, obviously he dropped back for 50 times. So we got to see a lot of attempts from him. This line actually started at Saints favored by 2.5 when it came out. And then it flipped to Denver minus 2.5. So just by that alone, I'll take the value and go with New Orleans and points in that regard, because I'm not really sure how this one could turn out a million ways. This is not, it's two rookie quarterbacks. It's one pretty good defense and then one very opportunistic, but mostly Swiss cheese all the time defense. So, and Broncos are rough on offense. So, New Orleans probably only needs to score 20-ish points to win this. So I'm going to go New Orleans plus 2.5. B-Dot, who you got?
Come on, man. I'm going New Orleans 2.5, man. This is a lock, man. This is a lock of the week against Denver, bro. The Saints defense, they may have given up, an average of 24.5 points per game, but Denver's offense is in shambles, ranked near the bottom in scoring and turnovers. New Orleans has already racked up 15 sacks and forced multiple turnovers plenty of times, setting them up to exploit Denver's shaky offense. So with the Saints offense heating up, Spencer Rattler getting more comfortable. He had over 250 yards in his first rookie debut. And even though Bo Nix is the more experienced rookie in this, I still expect New Orleans to dominate and cover easily. Lock this bet in now. # guaranteed win.
I love it. I feel like it's a Texas car salesman for sure. You convinced me.
Come on, man.
All right, Tyler, you riding with us or are you against us? I'm not trying to do Jedi extremes here, but what you got?
Come on, Ty.
Sorry to admit, guys, but I got to go with the Broncos minus 2.5 here. Now, before we get into a lot of the heavy analysis, we're going to start simply with this. The Saints do not have Derek Carr playing, Chris Olave playing, or Rashid Shaheed playing in this game. Shaheed was just ruled out for this Thursday night game. So for those of you who don't know, that means that the Saints will not have their QB1, their wide receiver 1, or their wide receiver 2. All meanwhile, a rookie quarterback making his second start, his first primetime game start. So to me, there's just too much stacked up against the Saints. The Broncos defense has also been locked down this season. They've had the second most sacks and are ranked 4th in the fewest yards allowed per game. So I just see this as sort of a nightmare scenario for the Saints in this one. And to top it all off, the best ability is availability, guys. And the Saints are just too banged up in this one for me to go with them, even with the points. Alvin Kamara is even considered questionable. If he's out, John and B-Dot might be out there catching passes and running routes for this team. So I got to go with the healthier Broncos team minus 2.5. And I think they're going to get this win for Sean Payton, who is going to be coming back to New Orleans, who had some success there as a head coach in the past.
You mean if B-Dot and I are out there, you're going to pick against us? Come on, Tyler.
I'm guessing that's why you guys. I think that's why you guys went with the Saints in this one. I'm guessing you guys know something that I don't, because I have no idea who's going to be throwing the ball or catching the ball on the Saints side of the ball.
Man, we're doing more inside betting than Calvin Ridley on that one.
I'm saying, man, you got Wes Welker and Alan Crabtree, man. We good. We're gonna make it happen.
Well, we'll see how that one turns out. But this might be the first time I might have gone against you guys for our primetime picks. So We'll see if I can pull. We'll see if I can pull out the W, or if you guys can run away with it on this one.
Love it.
Well, speaking yeah, love that.
But yeah, we're gonna keep this moving now. We're gonna look at our Week 7 overview, which is located on the homepage of the Elite Picks app. And let's start out with the quarterback position. Talk to me, guys. Who do you like for the quarterback position for our Week 7 overview?
Man, get ready for Jaden Daniels to absolutely torch the Panthers this Sunday. This rookie is on fire, okay? He's racking up 10 total touchdowns in just 5 games. He's the first rookie ever with over 1,000 passing yards and 250 rushing yards by Week 7. The Panthers, come on, man, they ranked in the bottom 10 for the total defense, and mobile quarterbacks have been their kryptonite. With Daniels' dual threat ability, he's set to run wild and air it out, bro. Expect highlight plays and a monster performance. Bet big on Jaden. Hashtag bet on Daniels.
Damn, I might need to get myself one of those hats. I think it helps.
It's the hat, man. Got me lit today.
You guys send me the link to that one. I like Baker Mayfield here in the best matchup. Baker Mayfield's been having some big weeks, even with some non-favorable matchups. Obviously, they put up a ton of points last week, and Baltimore's defense, Baltimore is known as a defensive team usually, but they've been letting up tons of passing yards this year, and it blows my mind that the Bills weren't able to do it against them. But opponent ranked 30th. I'm going with Baker Mayfield this week for sure. Anything look good to you, Ty?
Yeah, I don't mind giving a sleeper pick here. Going with Aiden O'Connell. Some people are probably like, what the heck? He just lost his best wide receiver, who's now playing for the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. But Rams' pass defense has been one of the worst in the league in just about every metric you can imagine. So O'Connell has also had a couple weeks to get used to not having Adams in the lineup, and have had a couple other guys, obviously Brock Bowers being one of them, really come up and start to take some of that target share that we saw Devontae Adams have. So I think people are sleeping on O'Connell this week, and he's probably going to have a big game against the Rams that are in a must-win now. And also definitely just wanted to mention, like you said, I got to mention Jaden Daniels as well. I mean, he's obviously the top ceiling, but this matchup is literally probably the juiciest matchup you're going to have this weekend. Panthers defense is basically ass. I mean, they've gotten torched in the passing game, giving up the second most passing touchdowns in the NFL. So maybe worth looking at a couple of his passing props, or maybe a TD prop for that Daniels pick. But B-Dot, you got me all gassed up talking about him, so I had to mention him as well, man.
Oh, man. I appreciate that.
Don't sleep on Lamar Jackson either going up against Baker Mayfield. That could be a shootout game where you get some good props to cash over. So look at them. Look at the wide receivers in that game as well. Made a lot of money betting Zay Flowers over last week, so maybe I might ride with that again this week. He cashed that in like the first quarter. Yeah, it's great. It's great. All right,
love that.
Running backs. What looks good on here to you, B-Dot?
Man, let's talk Jonathan Taylor, all right? He's about to explode against the Dolphins this Sunday. Miami's run defense ranks 30th, and they've been gashed for over 125 rushing yards per game. Taylor is back to full strength, and with the Colts offense finally clicking, this is the perfect matchup for him to dominate. Okay, look for Taylor to surpass the century mark in rushing yards and punch in a score or two. He's primed for an MVP-like performance. This is the week to bet big on JT. Hashtag it's Taylor time, baby.
I love it. I think he's definitely got the best matchup out of any of these guys, because you look at Tony Pollard, opponent ranked 31st. That's the Bills' leaky rush defense, right? But if the Bills get up by 2 touchdowns in this game, it might be Will Levis time, unfortunately, and you're not going to be able to keep establishing the run if you're the Titans. Whereas Breece Hall, all these other running backs have had big games against the Bills because teams have been able to keep it tight against the Bills for the most part, except for the Jaguars. So, that could be interesting there. He could have a big game if they keep it close, but I love Jonathan Taylor too. He's the guy I was going to point out on here. So let's ride JT. Do you got anything, Ty?
Yeah, I love this pick. I know he was, I think he sat out last week, as well as Anthony Richardson. But if you looked at the Colts running game last week, it was not very good. So I think they're really looking forward to getting JT back this week, especially against a Dolphins team that's just all over the place on both sides of the ball. So this is definitely a best matchup situation and he could be one of the top performing fantasy running backs of this week.
For sure.
Hello.
Wide receiver.
What about you, John?
JT was the guy that I was thinking for that too. So I'm good to move on to wide receivers for sure. I want to hear what B-Dot has for this one because he's been spitting some fire here. So who you got?
I did want to bring.
Oh, sorry.
If you don't mind, I did want to talk about one other running back, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I did want to talk about Kyron Williams against the Raiders. Raiders defense has gotten absolutely ran on this year. They've given up 141 yards rushing per game, which is definitely within the bottom 10. And if you look at Kyron Williams this year, he's been a top 5 fantasy running back, and he's averaging nearly 20 points a game. And if you look at the last 3 games, McVay and the Rams have not been afraid to give him a heavy workload. He's had 65 touches in the past 3 games. So whether you're doing player props or fantasy football or DFS, you love the amount of opportunities a guy like this can get. So I'm standing on business here, and I do have Kyron Williams as the RB1 for week 7 of this week for fantasy football.
I love it. Yeah, he's really close to being right outside that best matchup category, right below it. So if you see a guy in the top ceiling category and he's also got a really good matchup, that's usually a smash spot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. All right, B-Dot, who looks good on the wide receivers for you?
And on the first day, God said, let there be light. Get ready for Chris Godwin to light up the Ravens this Sunday. The Ravens secondary has been vulnerable, giving up over 250 passing yards per game. And Godwin is a perfect target to exploit that. With double-digit targets in his last 2 games and his precise route running, expect Godwin to shred Baltimore's defense in the slot and the deep game in the field. He's due for a breakout performance once again with over 100 yards and a touchdown is what I'm predicting. That's well in reach. Lock him in. Godwin's going to eat. Hashtag Godwin greatness.
I got a hashtag too.
Come on, man.
Like bonus part of the meal.
How y'all feel about, man?
I love it. I like Justin Jefferson or they're playing in Minnesota versus Detroit too. That seems like a game that has a little bit of shootout potential. It'll be interesting to see how Minnesota's defense deals with Detroit's offense, but Justin Jefferson is definitely going to get his in this game. Detroit is a very well-rounded team, but if you had to pick a weakness on their team, it's their secondary for sure. You see that opponent ranked 26th right there. So I think Justin Jefferson, even with bad matchup, has been getting his this year. I bet a Justin Jefferson under once this year and never again. So I love that matchup in Detroit. He's going to have a high over-under for sure, but I still like it. Maybe take him for a slightly less alt total, and I think that's a really safe bet. But anything you got on here, Ty? What do you think?
Yeah, I've been looking at Jamar Chase against the Browns. Jamar Chase is a guy who didn't have a training camp and, had a slow start to the season because he didn't really have a training camp. And he still has, as of right now, he has the second most fantasy points among wide receivers. So I know last week he didn't do phenomenal, but the past 3 weeks prior to that, he's been absolutely eating. And I totally expect this to be a bounce back game for him against the Cleveland Browns, who just traded Amari Cooper. They're pretty much in quit mode. They haven't been good in just about every aspect. So I just think this is a great situation for Chase and the Bengals to get another W on the board against a Browns team that is struggling. So definitely looking at Chase's market for props this week.
I could just see the disdain on B-Dot's face, the disappointment in Jamar Chase for ruining his parlay last week.
Man, I don't even want to talk about it, bro. I told you, no show Joe. Did y'all see they took Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts, their primetime game. They switched it with Jaden Daniels, and I forgot who he's playing against. They switched him because nobody cares about Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts anymore. Apparently they're washed, and they'd rather see an exciting rookie quarterback.
Might be the Bears and Caleb Williams.
Yep, there you go. There it is. Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams. And that should tell you right there, man. I don't even want to talk about it. Y'all don't get me worked up. I've been high-spirited and good positive. So let's go ahead and get to these tight ends, all right?
All right. Tyler's favorite category. Do you want to lead us off on this one?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I do actually have something to say.
Oh, he's going to take Brock Bowers. Someone's going to take – whoever gets it first takes Brock Bowers, right?
No, I'm actually not. I'm actually eyeing up George Kittle against the Chiefs. This is a guy who's been trending upward the last few weeks. He's had 5+ catches and over 55 receiving yards in 3 of his last 4 games. And if you look historically, which I love to pull these out, Kittle has played the Chiefs twice in his career, and both times he's had over 75 yards receiving, one of them being in that Super Bowl matchup. So I think this is a one where his receiving yard prop could be one that is worthwhile to take your money down and to place a bet on, because he's done well in games against the Chiefs. And this is a situation where they're in win now mode. I know, that can be said for pretty much any game, but this is a huge game for them that could have implication on the rest of their season. So I think they're going to feed Kittle. So I love him this week, whether it's fantasy or DFS or player props. What do you guys think?
I like it for sure. But if you're not going to take Brock Bowers, I sure as heck am. I feel like I'm the Houston Texans right here, taking quarterback after the Panthers pick number one. I feel like I'm getting a steal here with Brock Bowers. Was he the best tight end in fantasy football so far this year by a ways? And he has the 32nd ranked opponent. Like, I think I'm going to be smashing some Brock Bowers props this week. So sign me up for that. Sorry, I'm not leaving you with much on the sheet here, but what looks good?
I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at David Njoku against Cleveland. Everyone eats against Cleveland. He's a key piece of the Browns offense. Could be a sleeper pick for a big game this Sunday. Known for his size and athleticism, really don't have that much stats on him. But Browns, they have been focusing more on their passing game lately, and he's a very reliable guy. Cincinnati, they some shit. My bad. They some trash, and Cleveland don't really have that many options in general. So I feel as though David Njoku will have a decent, pretty good game. Compared to all these other tight ends. That's who I'm going with. I'm going with DN. I'm going with my boy Njoku.
I think he misses Joe Flacco just about more than anybody at this point. He was crazy at the end of last season, and obviously started this year off with an injury. But also, Browns, we got Amari Cooper on the Bills. So I'm happy about that. But
I'm happy for y'all, man. I'm happy for y'all.
Thanks. Yeah. Sorry, I'm really excited about it. The extra targets for David Njoku probably, going to be a good thing in his benefit for sure. Because Amari Cooper, probably 6-7 targets a game you're throwing that guy's way. Now those are going to have to be distributed to other players, and David Njoku might be the most dynamic player left on that Browns offense. So we'll see if Deshaun can chuck it more than 5 air yards down the field and get it to Njoku. But
I'm sorry, David. I don't have no hashtag for you, bro. I'm hashtag go to Joku. F it. There we go.
All right, mark it down.
And not to mention, Nick Chubb should be back too. I don't know if it's this week, but he will be back, which just obviously gives more attention to that backfield and potentially more opportunities for Njoku. But totally agree with you, John. He definitely misses Joe Flacco because my man was eating. Joe Flacco was just feeding him nonstop. But hey, they got to throw the ball to somebody. So, and you guys are already on the Broncos, so can't go to the Browns. So, we do what we can.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help out the channel, and us three really do appreciate it. Also, leave a comment and let us know what you'd like to see more of, what player props you're betting on, or who you might be playing in fantasy this week. And please be sure to take advantage of our free trial for the Elite Picks app. The link is in the description below. Good luck, everybody, and we will see you guys next time.